It's time for the Joy of Blue collaboration share, so let's see what I made with this Winter Dream pad from Michaels. Hey guys, it's Beth. Welcome. It is time again for the Joy of Blue collaboration. And this month I used the Winter Dream pad from Craft Smart and Michaels. Last video I smashed a pink pad, so this video I'm smashing a blue pad. I am an equal opportunity color smasher, if that's such a thing. So anyway, let's see what I ended up making from that, and I'm going to I've got a lot to show you, so I'm going to kind of talk and show at the same time. So this is a collaboration hosted by Sarah, who is crafting and relaxing here on YouTube, and there are other participants in the collaboration, and they are linked if you use the hashtag that is in the title and also in the description box that will show you the participants for this month's collaboration. If for some reason the hashtag brings in some random things, you should be able to go to at the top of your search screen where it says refine to hashtag only or to search only or something like that, and hopefully that will clean up your results list for you. But the purpose of the collaboration is to play with the color blue, which is Sarah's favorite color, and she just wants to encourage others to craft with blue as well. So what I'm showing you now is a December daily that I made for my oldest daughter. She didn't have one yet for this year, and she loves animals, so I decided to kind of do double duty for this collaboration and this pad smash and get her Joy of Blue, or not her Joy of Blue, her December daily done. And there's just lots of pockets, and I didn't have, she's going to have pictures and other things to tuck in the pockets, so a lot of times I just also stuck some embellishments. I didn't do a ton of embellishing on hers because my daughters enjoy kind of embellishing a little bit as they go as well. So I just made sure to give her a bunch of fun places to journal and attach pictures. So this is just a little kind of double pocket. And then there were a couple of pages in the pad that were like a full 12 by 12 layout with like a square in the middle, like it was intended for an actual scrapbook page. And I didn't have any winter pictures to do, and I didn't have most of my Christmas pictures that I had left to scrapbook were really just lots of reds and greens, and I didn't feel like it went very well with the blues. So I took those sheets and I trimmed out the white that I could, and so something like this is left over from this page, and I just thought I'd keep it big as a tag so she can do something with it. But then I harvested the white paper because I can use this just as white cardstock, and then I thought this was cool. It would just be, actually it'd be good on a scrapbook page because it's got that pretty silver border, and I think it's about 9 by 9 maybe. So I'm just gonna keep these, and I will use these in other projects. But then I went through and used the strips that came off around the white. I either fussy cut some of the animals out or just used the strips as the pattern paper. I took most of the 6x6 cut aparts. There were 2 sheets of 6x6 cut aparts, and I included those in her journal. And then I did a lot of fussy cutting. There was 2 sheets that were animals and sentiments kind of floating around on the page, and so I did a lot of fussy cutting to get some embellishments. This was a 6x6 cut apart that I cut in half and added it as little tuck spots. So I was just trying to use up the different pieces in the pad the best way I could. I did have some little fussy cut items left, so she can have those. There were a lot of neat little scene patterns in this pad as well. It was just really gorgeous. And this is the back side of that blue envelope. Another part of that scrapbooking page. Here's was another cut apart that I put at the end because we do tend to do our December daily like through the whole month of December. So that way she can talk about the new year. And then another double pocket. And so I did reuse some things in her journal twice. Like I think I used this cut apart as the full cut apart earlier, and then here I'm just using it as a tag, but I don't think she minds. I know I don't whenever I've done that in mine journals before. But so I just took one of those scene sheets and trimmed it down, laminated it, and then I did sew it. I remembered to pull out my embroidery floss this time so I could do something other than like that tan wax thread that I have. So I found some light blue embroidery floss and then this silver seam binding. So that was the first project I did. And then I had a bunch of full sheets left. So I decided to make cards, and I made lots of cards. The first batch I made, I was using up cut aparts that were left. There were some 3x4. It said Merry Christmas. What I did first, one of the, I guess, first things when I went to the cards was I took all of the full sheets that I had left and any scraps, and anything that could be a card mat, I went ahead and trimmed it down to 4x5 1/4. This was a 6x6 cut apart that I trimmed down to fit an A2 card. This was a piece of ephemera that somebody had sent me. I brought out some silver foil cardstock with the pink pad. I used a lot of gold. This time I used silver. This was a cut apart. And then this was one of the sentiments, like I said, that was in that one sheet that had the animals and sentiments kind of floating around. So I think when I took the papers and cut down to the card mats, I had like 40 or no, probably 60 card mats. So I knew it was going to be a lot of cards. And then I ended up making some other things, some of the scene papers into card mats as well. So I ended up with 89 cards, by the way, so close to 90. I did use a lot of sketches to make this go faster because I knew I was going to be making a lot of cards. And the sketches that I pulled out sketches that I knew I could make big batches of. So I think I have there's a lot of batches that are at least 6 cards, and then some have 12 to 14, depending on the size of pieces it called for. This is Mojo Monday number 361. I've used this before and just took the 2 different patterns and trimmed them down, and then brought in various sentiments, winter themed sentiments. And this one I didn't even put a sentiment on it. I just used the bare cut apart. A lot of these winter cards will be donated, and so I was just going for cuteness. They didn't necessarily have to have like a true sentiment. This is Freshly Made Sketches number 294, but a lot of them I did use like warm winter wishes. So these are pretty much all the same. Got 6 of those. My favorite thing, sketch 352. I believe I got 12 to 14 of these. I don't remember. And sometimes I use the sentiments that I had cut out of the paper. And I have various backgrounds on this one, but the focal pattern is the same. And then I also have various strips. I tried to be conscious of the strip scraps that I was creating as I went along, and tried to use those in some of the sketches as I went, so that I just didn't have like a giant pile of strips at the end like I sometimes do. Okay, next is Operation Write Home, sketch number 82. I got 6 of these, all the same. I brought in some kind of light warm gray cardstock. I have an abundance of that, so it was a good chance to use some of that. This one I believe I got 12 from, and I had to get a little bit creative. This is Operation Write Home, sketch number 172. So it calls for 2 3x3 pieces to kind of go as your matting elements here. And so I did as many as I could with the full 3x3s, but then I had to take, I think, like the last 6 and cut them down into triangles so that I could, you know, continue to mat this pretty blue floral. And I caught myself not paying attention to the orientation of my trees when I was putting them on. So I think one, the trees are upside down, but you have to look hard to figure it out. And then one, I had to flip so that my sentiment is over here because I caught myself putting the trees on upside down. The triangle ones were easier just because, I don't know why, I don't know. But I used some of the scraps of that silver to punch tiny circles just to use as additional embellishments. So this one, this blue floral and the white and silver trees stayed the same, but my sentiments changed. These were all sentiments that were somewhere in the pad. And then my matte papers do change as well. Here's the one I had to flip to keep the trees upright. This is Operation Right Home sketch number 93. And I will link all of the sketches in the description box below. And I made, I think, like a 12 dozen of these as well. The focal patterns stayed the same, but the strips and the background changes. When I was looking for like the patterns that would go together as the focal points, I just tried to find like 2 contrasting patterns. So like a light white or something light, like white or gray or light blue background, and then I would go with the darker background. And then I would try and find the mattes that kind of worked, and then I would try to coordinate the strips as well, but sometimes I just used the strips I had. I brought in the August 2023 Sheetload of Cards sketch again because it is just great for using up pages with the border strips or when you have large strip scraps left. And so this pad did have one of those like border cut apart pages, and so I used what I could of those as well as some thicker strips that I had in my scrap pile. Again, I actually had to, at this point, go into my card mat stash and pull out some grays and dark blues that would work with the paper because I was running out of mats from the pad. And then I also brought in, I used a gold version of this in my pink sugar and sparkle pad that I shared last week. I also had the silver version. It says Conica Minolta, but they're very similar to like a Love from Lizzie type strip, and I've had them for a while, but they're still actually really sticky, so that's good. So I brought that in on just some cardstock scraps. So again, this one, everything changes per card because I was just kind of working with the pieces left and whatever mats I could find. So the only thing that stays the same is the sentiment, but then it kind of moves around. So I think I have 14 of these. You can see I was getting creative with what I was using as the mats. And I mentioned earlier that there were several like beautiful and cute scenes, you know, in this pad. And so I decided that and most of the scenes weren't like a full page scene. It was more of, there was a distinct top and a distinct bottom, and then kind of in between it was like sky or water or whatever. So this one, the bottom half was, you know, iceberg and ice mountains kind of in the background, kind of like a polar scene. And so I brought in some cut aparts or fussy cut items. Like this is one fussy cut penguin that it kind of worked out to add him on the nearest iceberg, and it, you know, he was bigger than the one in the background, which worked if you think of like scale and distance, whatever. I don't usually plan that. It just worked out well this time. And then my warm winter wishes, and I didn't do anything else to it. This one already had the polar bears. I just added this little seal that I had fussy cut out and my sentiment. And this one had the seals, and then all I did was add my sentiment and then some vellum snowflakes that I think my mother-in-law had punched a gazillion of, and so I decided it was a good time to use those. This was a different mountain background scene, and so I brought in some of the deer that I had fussy cut, and then some sentiments, and sometimes I brought in snowflakes if there was space to fill. And then the scenes, I was done with like the scene papers, but then I still had a bunch of these fussy cut animals. And so here's like a mama and baby polar bear, and I just added a strip on the bottom to kind of ground it, and a little sentiment up there. And this one I just kind of put 3 different seals on. Again, had a strip to ground this one that looked like it was sitting on land, and then these 2 were apparently just flying in the air above him. A couple more of the deer. There's a deer, a cute polar bear, and then I had a bunch of strips left, and so I did a similar, it's similar to my normal strip scrap card that I make, where normally I will put adhesive down all across like a piece of cardstock that's trimmed down to fit on a card front, and then lay my strips down. Well, this one I actually wanted some white space, like because I was using a lot of the dark navies, I wanted to separate them a little bit because they weren't all exactly the same, and so I left like little white space strips in between. And so this is just on my card base itself, and I added glue to the back of each strip, put it on, and went that way. And then I had some fussy cut animals left and some larger pieces of patterned paper, and so I just, use those to be the center of the card. And this one, I know that this pattern paper doesn't stand out all that well, but I like that the rectangle kind of blends in with the strips behind it, but it makes the seal pop. So I have 1 and 2 actually with fox. So these I did use some of the strip pieces that I had cut off. I went ahead and put those on the inside of the cards, but otherwise I have not used scraps on the insides of the other cards yet, and so I will finish that today because I do have a pile of scraps to finish off. I did take some of the bigger scraps I had and just cut them down into little gift tags because we actually need some to finish wrapping our presents this year. So I thought these were cute and I would use those. So sorry, trying to squeeze a lot in so it's not very long, but 89 cards, 1 December daily, some tags, and I really enjoyed playing with blue this month. This has been probably my most favorite thing I've done for Joy of Blue. So thank you, Sarah, for pushing me out of my color comfort zone again this year and reminding me that I can play with blue too, not just pink, right? So be sure to check out the hashtag to see all the participants this month. Thank you guys so very much for your time today, and hope you all have a very crafty day.